The Oval Office hummed with tension as President Albert Chambers reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The holographic display before him painted a complex picture of Earth's rapidly evolving position in the galactic community. So, the Myzoans are trading with the Russians, Chambers mused, his brow furrowed. And we suspect similar deals with China and Iran? Admiral Victoria Hayes nodded grimly. Yes, Mr. President. Our intelligence suggests they're exchanging advanced technology for human subjects. Chambers' fist clenched involuntarily. God damn it. As if we didn't have enough problems with the Busner breathing down our necks. There's more, sir, Hayes continued. The Audacity has made contact with the Naxith. Captain Shaw reports they're interested in trade, but they're asking for access to our system's wormhole points. The president leaned back, his mind racing. Do they know we presently can't stop them from accessing the system? Hell, is stopping them even possible? Why did they ask, and why do they think that is valuable? Granted, if we say yes, will we ever be able to ask them to leave? What's your assessment, Admiral? Hayes' expression was grave. No, we could not. We don't even know what level of force they could bring to bear if they chose to be less friendly about it, or how the Busner would react to any of this. With enough ships, I assume we could make entering the system dangerous, but at this time we don't have them, and I am not even sure how many ships that would take. Captain Shaw didn't know what to ask in that negotiation. I have a team working on training for such things, but this is all new territory. As a reminder, the Audacity does not have the new communication system, so this is old information, and she has not even received my reply yet. Her superiors have full faith in her, but her orders were to get results, leaving us unsure what she will do. They do seem to find value in it. If life gives you lemons, open a lemonade stand. Compared to the Busner, the Naxith are not a threat. They are asking, seem eager to trade and open diplomatic relations. They seem afraid of the Busner like everyone else, so if we can use them to get to a point, we can deal with Busner. They should be easy to deal with in turn. My recommendation is giving them access to wormhole points away from Earth for a limited time frame, 50 years or whatever we can negotiate down to. Chambers nodded, then turned to the next item on the agenda. And our own projects? How are we progressing? The lunar and Martian operations are exceeding expectations, Hayes reported, a hint of pride in her voice. We're processing resources at an unprecedented rate. The Prometheus project is on schedule, and we're already planning the next generation of ships. Good, Chambers said. We're going to need every advantage we can get. What about Area 51? Hayes' expression tightened. There was an incident. Dr. Reyes' team had a setback with their energy weapons research. No casualties, but it's put us behind schedule, Chambers sighed, rubbing his temples. Keep me updated. We need those breakthroughs, Admiral. The fate of our species may well depend on it. As the meeting concluded, Chambers stood at the window, gazing up at the sky. Somewhere out there, humanity's future was being shaped by forces they were only beginning to understand. They were players in a vast, cosmic game of chess, and the stakes couldn't be higher. In the depths of Siberia, General Viktor Volkov stood before a massive holographic display, marveling at the alien technology now at his fingertips. The Myzoan devices hummed with anotherworldly energy, interfaces adapting to human control with unsettling ease. Impressive, isn't it? Came a voice from behind him. Volkov turned to see Dr. Andrei Kuznetsov, lead scientist on the integration project. Volkov nodded. Indeed. But can we trust it? The Myzoans aren't giving us this out of the goodness of their hearts. Kuznetsov's expression was grim. No, they're not. We've detected numerous backdoors and hidden protocols. It's taken everything we have just to isolate the systems from our main network. And the subjects? Volkov asked, his voice low. Gone, Kuznetsov replied, a hint of regret in his tone. The Myzoans took them off-world immediately. We have no way of tracking them. Volkov's jaw clenched. It was a devil's bargain they'd made, but with the Western powers surging ahead in the space race and the Busner threat looming over them all, what choice did they have? Keep working, he ordered. Find a way to purge those backdoors. And triple the security on this facility. If word of this gets out. Kuznetsov nodded, understanding the unspoken threat. As he left, Volkov turned back to the alien display. They were playing a dangerous game, dancing with forces they didn't fully understand. But the potential rewards, they were too great to ignore. Aboard the Lunar Orbital Station, Captain Michael Davis of the Defiant watched as teams of engineers swarmed over his ship, integrating new systems and applying the revolutionary stealth coding. It's something else, isn't it? Came a voice from beside him. Davis turned to see Dr. Emily Takahashi, the station's chief engineer. It certainly is, Davis agreed. I barely recognize her. Takahashi grinned. Wait until you see what she can do now. The stealth systems alone. Well, let's just say the Busner won't know what hit them if it comes to that. Davis's expression turned serious. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But it's good to be prepared. He paused, considering his next words carefully. What can you tell me about the Prometheus project? I've heard rumors. Takahashi's eyes lit up. It's revolutionary. Combining the best of human innovation with everything we've learned from alien tech. When it's done, it'll be the most advanced ship in the solar system? As they continued to discuss the upgrades, Davis couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. Humanity was advancing at a breakneck pace, but were they ready for the challenges that lay ahead? On Mars, Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood at a drone control panel. The drone was standing at the edge of the newly excavated mining pit, marveling at the rich veins of rare earth elements exposed by their operations. Dr. Carl Robertson called out over the colony-wide intercom. Dr. Tanaka. You need to see this. As if it was an afterthought, he added processing station to give Tanaka a place to see him at. Tanaka had to stop at the airlock and slip into a suit to enter the module. Dr. Robertson was standing at a table looking over a sample of Martian rock the drone miners had brought back to the processing station. What is it? She asked, her curiosity piqued. Robertson looked up, his eyes wide with excitement. I'm not sure, but I think it might be a new alloy of titanium. It's exhibiting some rather unique properties so far. Tanaka's heart raced as she examined the formation. The implications were staggering. Not just for their understanding of Mars history, but for the entire field of astrobiology. Get samples to the lab immediately, she ordered. And not a word of this to anyone off-world until we're certain. The last thing we need is wild speculation getting back to Earth. Light years away, Captain Emily Shaw of the Audacity stood on the bridge, communicating with an Axith via viewscreen. She had so many questions, but there are some questions you cannot ask someone you're negotiating with. It would be weeks before she heard back from Earth, even with the Molnari communication system that the Audacity carried. The Naxith seemed to sense her plight, or at least understand her situation, and demonstrated surprising patience. In the meantime, she did as much to do cultural exchange. Her superiors had told her that would be valuable, and trading Elvis's greatest hits for Zimmer's symphonies seemed far less damaging than signing over the entire Sol system to a foreign agent. In the depths of Area 51, Dr. Elena Reyes stood before the rebuilt energy weapon prototype, her team poised to begin the next round of tests. All systems check out, Doctor, reported her assistant, Dr. James Chen. We're ready when you are. Reyes took a deep breath, steeling herself. The last failure had been a setback, but they had learned from it. This time, they were prepared. Initiate the sequence, she ordered. As the prototype that was a mix of Molnari, human and Loxus technology hummed to life, energy crackling around its core, Reyes watched the readings with bated breath. This was it, the moment that could change everything. Suddenly, the readings spiked. For a heart-stopping moment, Reyes thought they were headed for another disaster. But then, it's stabilizing, Chen exclaimed. Power input is rather high, but the energy output is most impressive. A cheer went up from the assembled team. Reyes allowed herself a smile of relief and triumph. They had done it. Earth now had a weapon that was new. The hybrid technology was still largely untested, had insane power requirements, but it had reduced the target steel plate to so much slag. As the celebration continued around her, Reyes' mind was already racing ahead to the next steps. They needed to miniaturize the technology, if possible. That would help with integrating it into their ships and defenses. Increasing efficiency would be a continuing goal. The chess game was shifting, and Earth had just gained a powerful new piece. The Prospector continued its trip around the Sun, moving from random asteroid to asteroid. It had been loaded with a 3D printer that would print small drone engines. As promising or possibly troublesome asteroids got within range, it would land a small drone engine on them, and one by one, they were directed toward the Mars or lunar stations for processing. The asteroids in the system were a loose collection of rocks in an expanse of nothing, making it a boring job but a productive one. The Phoenix had moved onto its second mission now that the Mars colony and orbital station were back up and running. It landed 3D printer modules on both of Mars's moons to be the beginning of mining there. It was hoped this would increase the likelihood of not just meeting the Busner demands but exceeding them to the point where there would be a surplus for military production. The Hope and Defiant were at the Lunar Orbital Station, both getting refitted with the new stealth coating that Area 51 had come up with. The Loxus freighters were not state-of-the-art by Loxus standards, but as the engineering teams did the upgrades on communication systems and hull plating, it gave them time to tinker inside in hopes of learning more about power and other systems. The new hull plating was a new generation in stealth and left the ships a black so dark it literally absorbed well over 99.9% of light that hit it. The first Hex SV-1 Prometheus was taking longer than expected because some of the engineers were rethinking design features as the Loxus ships were finally being more closely examined. Meanwhile, in the Western Allied countries, the Busner threats, video of their attacks was being played paired with recruitment videos. The U.S. Space Force numbers had swelled, and the beginnings of the U.S. Space Force Marine Group were being organized. The Busner demands would have to be met. They simply outmatched Earth in too many ways, but they had started a war whether they knew it or not.